Welcome in the 12th episode. Today we will fix one of the issue with our selection of the grid square. So currently we cannot select any diagonal line. We can only select the line on the left, right, top or the bottom. So this is the problem we're gonna fix. And also we will create the list of the searching words which will be spawned below this grid. If you wanna help support this channel, hit the subscribe button below this video and turn on notification so you will not miss any future releases. Okay, so let's get started. Let's open our project, and first of all let's open our scene and go to the game scene. Let's go now to our resource folder, select the prefab and open the grid square. In our box collider, currently the collider size is the same as our image, so we want to change the size to be 0.7 and 0.7. Make sure you assign this number in. So now our collider, as you see, this is the green line, is much smaller than the graphic. So we have a bit of space to actually move the mouse or our finger on the diagonal line. So let's save now everything. So I will just press this small arrow, click save, and let's press play and see if we can actually move on the diagonal line. So if I select any of the letter now, I can select the diagonal line, down, top. Okay, so seems like everything is working fine now. So the selection is working as we expected. So now let's start to implement our searching word list. So I will stop the project. Let's go to the scripts folder. And I will right click in this folder, create C# script, and I will call the script searching word. I will right click again, create C# script, and I will call the script searching words list. Okay, so we will need those two scripts. And now let's go to our scene, go under the canvas, right click on the canvas, UI image, and I will call this image searching word. Okay, now let's grab our searching word script and drag and drop it into the game object. So make sure the searching words object have a searching word script assigned. And now let's go to our graphics, game scene, and let's find this text field graphic and drop it into the source image. And now let's press set native size. And as you see, we have our box created. You can see it here. Okay, so now we can go to our resource folder again, go to the prefabs, grab our searching words and drop it into the prefab folder. So we're gonna create a prefab from this object. So your object should change the color to blue. So now we can select the searching word and press and just delete it. So let's go back to our scripts folder now. Let's open the searching word list script. Let's first of all remove all of the comments. We can also remove our update function because we won't need it in this class. And I will just put this private specifier to our start method. Okay, let's add some public variables. So right at the top, I will put public game data, current game data, then public game object, searching word prefab, then public float offset will be equal to 0.0f, then public int max columns will be equal to 5, and then public int max rows will be equal to 4. And then let's add some private variables also. So private int columns will be equal to 2, then private int rows, private int words number, and then private list of the game objects. Let's call it words, will be equal to new list of the game objects. Okay, so that's all variables we will need in this class. So first of all, let's start from implementing of few of the functions. So first function we will need is the calculate the columns and the rows number. So we want to calculate the numbers of the columns and the rows based on the numbers of the searching words we have. So let's below the start method I will add the private void calculate columns and row numbers. Let's put do, and then let's put the while, and then we want to check the while rows is more or equal max rows. Make sure you put the column, and then we want to increase the columns plus plus, and then rows will be equal to words number divided by columns. So what this function is doing is basically preventing us from creating more rows than the max rows number, which we're gonna set from the inspector. So if we have more rows based on the numbers on the words and the columns, instead of then increasing the rows number, we're gonna increase the column numbers. Okay, and then down below, let's put the if statement. So if the columns is more than max columns, we want to put the columns will be equal to max columns, and then the rows will be equal to words number divided by columns. So now let's add another function below this one. So this is going to be the private bool try increase column number. Okay, so in this function we want to increase the columns plus plus, and then the rows will be equal to words number divided by columns. Okay, and then let's put the if statement. If columns is more than the max columns, we want to do the columns equal max columns, and then the rows will be equal to words number divided by columns, and we want to return false. Okay, so this is the first part, and then we want to check if the words number, and make sure you put the modulo operator. So the modulo operator is the rest from the division. You can read about this operator if you like. If the words number modulo columns, if there is odd number of the rows of the words, we want to increase the rows number, and then we want to return true. So below this one, below this function, let's add another function which will be private void, and then this is going to be the create words object. Okay, and then we're going to implement this function in a second, but before we do that, let's add another function, private vector3 get square scale, and we want to pass the vector3 default scale. Let's add another function below, private bool should scale down vector3. Okay, so let's go back to our create words object and let's start to implement this function. So first of all, let's capture the square scale. So var square scale will be equal to get square scale, and we want to pass the new vector3, and it's going to be the 1f, and then 0.1f. So we're going to get the square scale from this function, and then down below we want to loop through for var index is equal to 0, index is less than the words number, index plus plus. We want to do the words dot add, and we want to get the instantiate, and we want to pass our searching words prefab. Okay, and then we want to put this as a game object. Then next thing, we want to do the get words add index dot transform dot set parent, and we want to call this dot transform. So basically all of the words we're going to spawn will be child of the component which will hold the script. And then words at index dot get component, and we want to get direct transform dot local scale will be equal to square scale. And then let's do again the words at index dot get component rect transform, and now we want to set the position, so it's going to be the dot local position will be equal to new vector3, and let's pass the 0f, and then 0f. So let's now implement our get square scale function. So inside this function, let's first of all capture the var final scale will be equal to default scale, and then var adjustment will be equal to 0.01f. So this is how much we're going to scale down the square every time we iterate through our loop. So let's put while should scale down, and then we want to pass the final scale, and then let's put the final scale dot x minus equal adjustment final scale dot y minus equal adjustment, and then if the final scale dot x is less or equal 0, or the final scale dot y is less or equal 0, we want to do the final scale dot x is equal to adjustment, and then the final scale dot y is equal to adjustment. Okay, so basically we're going to scale down until the scale is less or equal 0, and then we're going to set the scale to adjustment. And then over here we want to return the final scale. Okay, and then after the while we want to return final scale again. So now we need to implement this should scale down function. So let's go to that function, and first of all let's capture the square rectangle. So var square rect will be equal to searching word prefab dot get component, and this is gonna be the rect transform. Then let's capture the parent rectangle. So parent parent rectangle will be equal to this dot get component rect transform var square size will be equal to new vector 3 0f and then 0f is actually vector 2 not 3. Okay, and then square size dot x will be equal to square rectangle dot rect dot width times target scale dot x plus offset. Okay, so we want to include the offset to our size of the rectangle, and then square size dot y will be equal to square rectangle dot rect dot height times target scale dot y plus offset. And then we want to get the total height of all of the squares we're gonna spawn, which is var total square height will be equal to square size dot y times row. Okay, times how many rows we wanna have. Okay, and then let's put some comments. Okay, so we wanna making sure all of the squares will be fit in the rectangle we created from the parent. So if the total square height is more than the parent rect dot height, we want to do the while total square height is more than the parent rect dot height. So we want to check if try increase column number. So if we can increase the column number instead of the adding additional row, we want to do that. So total square height will be equal to square size dot y times rows. So we want to recalculate the total square height. Otherwise, we want to return true. So if we cannot increase any more columns because we already exceed the limit, we're gonna scale down all of the squares to make sure everything is fit. Okay, so after this F statement, let's do the var total square width will be equal to square size dot x times columns, and then if the total square width is more than the parent rect dot width, we're gonna return true, and then otherwise return false. So that's it for this function. So we have all of the logic to set the correct scale for our squares and to create all of the objects. So let's go scroll up to the start method, and now let's put inside our start method, let's first of all set our words number. So words number is equal to current game data dot selected board data dot searching words dot count. Okay, and then if the words number is less than the columns, we want to set the row to be equal to 1. Otherwise, we want to calculate rows and columns and rows number. And below this F statement, we want to call the create words object, and then we want to set the position for our words. So set word positions. So we want to create now this set word position function. So I will just copy this name and scroll right at the bottom. And then let's create function private void set words position. And then below this function, I'm going to add one more function, which will be the private vector2 get first square position. So let's first of all implement this get first square position function. So let's first of all capture our start position. So var start position will be equal to new vector2. Let's pass 0f and then transform dot position dot y. Okay, and then var square rectangle is equal to words at 0 dot get component rect transform. Okay, and then var parent rectangle will be equal to this dot get component rect transform, and then var square size will be equal to new vector2, and then we want to pass 0f and 0f. Let's put the square size dot x will be equal to square rectangle dot rect dot width times square rectangle dot transform dot local scale dot x plus offset. Okay, and then square size dot y will be equal to square rectangle dot rect dot height times square rectangle dot transform dot local scale dot y plus offset. Okay, so we have the size of our square. So if we have all of the squares, we want to make sure we set them in the center. So this is what we're going to do. So var shift by will be equal to, let's open brace, parent rectangle dot rect dot width minus, let's open another squares, another braces, square size dot x times columns, and we want to make all of this divide by 2. So this is the center of the parent square, and then start position dot x is equal to, let's open double brace, parent rectangle dot rect dot width minus square size dot x divide by 2 times, and then let's open minus 1, and then start position dot x plus equal shift by, and then let's do the same for the start position dot y. Dot y will be equal to, let's open the brace, it's gonna be the parent rect dot height minus square size dot y divide by 2, and then we want to return start position. Okay, so we have our get first square position function, and then the last function we want to implement is this set word position. So let's go to that function now, and first of all let's capture var square rectangle is equal to words at 0 dot get component rect transform, and then we want to put the var word offset is equal to new vector2, and make sure you put instead of this braces, you could put the curly braces. So this is another way to initialize this object. And now we can call its member. So x is equal to square rectangle dot rect dot width times square rectangle dot transform dot local scale dot x plus offset. And then let's do the same for the y. Actually, we don't want to put the semicolon here. We want to put just the comma. And then y is equal to square rectangle dot rect dot height times square rectangle dot transform dot local scale dot y plus offset. Okay, and make sure you put semicolon after that. So this is another way to initialize the vector2 or any other type. And then let's put the int column number is equal to 0, int row number is equal to 0, and then var start position is equal to get first square position. Okay, so this is the function we just implemented. And now let's do the for each. So for each var word in words. So we want to look through all of the words, and then if the column number plus 1 is more than the columns, we want to set the column number is equal to 0, and then row number plus plus. And then outside this if statement, we want to do the var position x is equal to start position dot x plus words offset dot x times column number, and then var position y is equal to start position dot y minus words offset dot y times row number. Okay, and then let's grab the word dot get component rect transform dot local position. So we're gonna set the position now is equal to new vector2 and then position x and then position y. Okay, so we're gonna set the position for every single word, and then we want to increase the column number plus plus. Okay, so that's it for this class. Let's save everything now, and now let's go back to our Unity. Let's the script compile. So now I will right click on the canvas, UI image, and I will call this image words, and let's grab our words searching words list script and drop it into this object. And now we need to initialize this current game data. So the current game data is under our resources, data, and then current game data. So let's select these words again, grab our current game data and drop it into the current game data. Searching word prefab is under our resources prefabs, select this again, grab the searching word and then drop it into the searching word prefab. Then the offset, I will set the offset to be equal to 10. The max columns, I will leave it at 5. And then max rows, I will leave it at 3 maybe. Okay, we can save everything now. And I will change this the size of this square. So as you see currently our rectangle, which we're gonna set and then scale our words based on, is currently very small. So I will set this rectangle to be equal on the position to be equal to 5.7 minus 724. So as you see, I just move it down, and then I will set the width to be equal to 976, and then height to be 547. Okay, so as you see, I just set this width and the height to be actually equal to be somewhere here. So over here we're gonna have our grid square, and below we will have all of our words. And now let's select our words and disable our image component, so you cannot see the image. Okay, and now let's press play and see what's happened. So as you see, we have our words displayed. I mean, there are no words yet, but we have a object. So let's try to add a few more words. So I will just disable this max on play. Let's go to our resources, data, puzzle, and let's click a few more times this plus and see what's happened. Okay, so we have much more words. Let's press play. And as you see, all of the words are currently fit on the screen. Okay, so the reason, let me just maximize it. So the reason why we're displaying it like that, not moving it all of the way down, because we want to have the space to display our banner, our advertisement banner. So over here you will have a banner, and right above you will have all of the searching words. Okay, so we have the objects created now. You can select the squares. So I think that's it for this episode. In the next episode we will add actually words to be displayed on this object. So you will see all of the searching words which you will need to find in this grid. So if you have any issue with implementation, do let me know in the comments below this video, and make sure you have everything implemented the same as me inside this video. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again in the next episode.